God says, choose yourself in 2026, not in the selfish way the world promotes, but in the sacred way responsibility demands. Choose yourself, because time is not endless, because breath is not guaranteed, because potential, unattended, becomes regret, and regret hardens into a silent prison. Choose yourself, because no one else can answer the call placed within you. God did not design your life as an accident or your existence as filler space between other people's greatness. You were entrusted with days, strength, intellect, emotion, and will, and with that trust comes accountability. The year ahead does not ask for your excuses, it asks for your decision. Many people wait for permission to become who they already know they are meant to be. They wait for applause, for agreement, for perfect timing, for comfort, for certainty. But destiny does not respond to hesitation. God speaks through responsibility, through that inner unrest that refuses to let you stay small, through that quiet discomfort that grows louder every time you ignore it. When you feel the tension between who you are and who you could be, that is not condemnation. That is direction. That is life urging you forward. Choosing yourself does not mean abandoning others. It means refusing to abandon your assignment. You cannot pour strength into the world if you have refused to develop your own. You cannot lead with clarity if you are fragmented by fear. You cannot protect what matters if you are constantly retreating from difficulty. God calls individuals to rise so that families, communities, and generations do not collapse under the weight of unfulfilled potential. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is alignment. It is the daily decision to live according to purpose rather than impulse. There are moments when life feels unfair, when effort seems unnoticed, when progress feels painfully slow. Trials are not signs of rejection, they are tests of seriousness. Presu reveals what comfort hides. When everything is easy, character remains unproven. But when resistance shows up, something sacred is happening. Strength is being invited to emerge. Patience is being refined. Wisdom is being forged. God does not waste struggle. Every challenge carries instruction for those who are willing to listen rather than complain. You must understand this. No one rises accidentally. Every life of impact is built deliberately, choice by choice, habit by habit, decision by decision. The world rewards noise, but God honors consistency. While others chase quick recognition, you are being shaped in silence. While others escape discomfort, you are learning endurance. While others blame circumstances, you are being trained to take responsibility. Responsibility is power. The moment you stop blaming and start owning your life, authority begins to grow within you. Self-awareness is not weakness, it is leadership. To know your strengths without arrogance, to acknowledge your flaws without shame, to confront your fears without running. This is the posture of someone prepared for influence. God does not call perfection. God calls sincerity. Growth begins the moment you tell yourself the truth, not the convenient truth, not the edited truth, the full truth, the truth about your discipline, the truth about your focus, the truth about how you spend your time. Time reveals priorities long before words do. There is a voice inside you that does not scream but persists. It does not beg but waits. It does not force but calls. That voice is not pressure from society. It is not fear of missing out. It is not comparison. It is the inner calling that returns every time distractions fade. You can ignore it, but it will not disappear. You can silence it temporarily, but it will surface in moments of stillness. God speaks through that inner calling, not to condemn you, but to remind you of who you are becoming. Patience is not passive waiting. Patience is active endure. Ants. It is continuing to show up when results are delayed. It is remaining faithful to effort when outcomes are uncertain. Many abandon their path not because it is wrong, but because it is slow. But destiny is not rushed. Foundations laid in haste collapse under pressure. God builds depth before height, strength before visibility, integrity before expansion. What you become internally determines how much responsibility you can carry externally. Do not underestimate the cost of wasted time. Time is life in fragments. Every hour spent in avoidance is an hour removed from progress. Every day surrendered to distraction is a day taken from purpose. Choosing yourself means choosing structure over chaos, clarity over confusion, intention over impulse. It means saying no to what weakens you, so why? You can say yes to what strengthens you. God respects boundaries. Discipline is a form of respect toward the life you have been given. There will be moments when you feel alone in your growth, when old connections no longer fit and new ones have not yet formed. This space is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Growth requires separation before alignment. God often removes familiar supports so you can discover inner stability. What once held you cannot carry the weight of who you are becoming. Do not confuse isolation with abandonment. Sometimes distance is preparation. Moral strength is not about appearance. It is about consistency between belief and behavior. Integrity is doing what is right when it costs you something. It is choosing long-term honor over short-term gain. God entrusts in fluence to those who can be trusted with truth. Character is revealed not in moments of applause, but in moments of pressure, when no one is watching, when shortcuts are available, when compromise feels easier than commitment. Those moments shape your future more than any public achievement. You are not late, you are not forgotten, you are not disqualified, but you are responsible for your effort, responsible for your attitude, responsible for your growth. God does not measure you by comparison, but by faithfulness. Faithfulness to what you know you should do today. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Small steps taken consistently reshape entire lives. Greatness is not a single decision. It is a series of aligned choices repeated over time. There will be seasons when motivation fades, when enthusiasm weakens, when passion feels distant. This is where discipline carries you. Feelings are unreliable guides. Purpose is steadier. God never instructed humanity to feel their way forward. He calls them to walk forward with intention. Action often precedes clarity. Movement creates momentum. When you act responsibly, confidence follows. When you wait for confidence, stagnation sets in. Your past does not define you unless you allow it to instruct your future incorrectly. Lessons are meant to teach, not imprison. Mistakes are meant to refine, not label. God redeems effort, not excuses. The moment you take ownership of where you are, you gain power over where you are going. Transformation begins with responsibility, not regret. Regret looks backward. Responsibility looks forward. You were not designed for comfort alone. Comfort dulls urgency. Pressure sharpens focus. Trials awaken strength you did not know you possessed. When life demands more from you, it is not cruelty. It is invitation. An invitation to rise, to mature, to lead yourself before leading others. God prepares individuals in adversity because ease rarely produces depth. Endurance shapes vision. Resistance develops resilience. Choosing yourself in 2026 means choosing alignment over approval. It means accepting that not everyone will understand your discipline, your boundaries, your focus. Some will be uncomfortable with your growth because it confronts their stagnation. That is not your burden to carry. You are not responsible for managing other people's reactions to your obedience. God assigns you stewardship over your life, not over everyone's comfort. There is a difference between being busy and being purposeful. Activity without direction leads to exhaustion. Direction without action leads to frustration. Purpose integrates both. Every meaningful life requires sacrifice. Something must be surrendered for something greater to emerge. Sleep for discipline. Distraction for focus. Excuses for effort. God honors sacrifice because sacrifice demonstrates seriousness. When fear appears, do not treat it as a signal to retreat. Fear often shows up at the edge of growth. It is not proof of inability. It is evidence of expansion. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite it. God does not remove fear to validate your calling. He strengthens reso. So fear loses authority over your decisions. Your inner world shapes your outer results. What you tolerate internally manifests externally. If you tolerate doubt, it will limit action. If you tolerate laziness, it will delay progress. If you tolerate dishonesty, it will erode trust. Choosing yourself means governing your inner life with discipline and awareness. Leadership begins within. God entrusts responsibility to those who can govern themselves. You do not need to see the entire path to take the next step. Clarity unfolds through obedience. Direction becomes clearer through movement. Many remain stuck not because they lack vision, but because they refuse to act without guarantees. Faith in action is responsibility under uncertainty. God rewards movement aligned with integrity. N.O.T. paralysis disguised as caution. The life you desire requires a version of you that is more disciplined, more patient, more focused, more grounded. Transformation is not cosmetic. It is internal reorganization. Old habits must be dismantled. Old narratives must be challenged. Old limitations must be confronted. Growth feels uncomfortable because it demands the release of what once felt familiar. God does not expand lives that refuse to evolve. You are not called to carry everything at once. You are called to carry today with excellence. Tomorrow builds itself from today's obedience. Momentum is born in consistency. Small disciplines practiced daily become unshakable foundations. God values daily faithfulness more than dramatic declarations. Quiet persistence reshapes destinies. As his year unfolds, distractions will compete for your attention. Noise will attempt to drown out purpose. Comfort will tempt you to delay. Fear will suggest retreat. But within you is a steadiness forged by responsibility, strengthened by discipline, guided by inner awareness. Choosing yourself is choosing alignment with that steadiness. It is choosing to rise each day with intention, to confront actness honestly, to pursue growth relentlessly, to honor the trust God placed in you when He entrusted you with life itself. And as you step forward, not perfectly but deliberately, understanding that every decision you make today is shaping the person you will be tomorrow, realizing that control of your life does not come from domination of circumstances, but from mastery of self, from the courage to act when it would be easier to delay, from the humility to learn when pride would rather defend, from the patience to endure when quitting would feel justified, knowing that the voice calling you forward will not grow quieter until you answer it, and that the responsibility you accept now will determine the influence you carry later, because God does not reveal the full weight of destiny at onk. He reveals it in portions, trusting that you will grow strong enough to carry more as you remain faithful in what is already placed before you, and as you choose yourself again and again, not out of ego, but out of obedience to purpose. You begin to understand that this journey is not about becoming someone else, but about finally becoming who you were always meant to be, even when the road feels uncertain, even when progress feels slow, even when no one else sees what you are building. Because what is forming within you in this season is preparing you for responsibilities that will demand clarity, strength, and moral courage. And if you remain disciplined in the unseen, steadfast in the difficult, patient in the process, then what unfolds next will require you to stand firm, to act decisively, to rise without hesitation, to move forward with authority rooted not in arrogance, but in self-mastery, and to recognize that the time you once wasted has now become the fuel for intentional living as you continue stepping into the work, the responsibility, the calling, and the daily choices that are shaping your life into something that reflects purpose rather than drift, strength rather, an excuse, and commitment rather than delay. Because from this point onward, every moment matters, every decision carries weight, and every step you take is moving you closer to the life you are choosing. Even as the path ahead remains unfinished, unfolding, and demanding more of you with each step you are willing to take toward what God is still shaping within you, as you continue forward, refusing to retreat, refusing to settle, refusing to ignore the quiet but relentless pull that keeps urging you to rise, to act, to choose, and to move into what has not yet been revealed, but is already waiting for your obedience, your discipline, your courage, and your willingness to step again into the next moment where responsibility meets opportunity and the journey continues as you learn to carry. Become more, and move deeper into the work that now requires you to stand, to act, and to take the next deliberate step even as the weight increases and the calling grows heavier, knowing that this is not the end, not the peak, not the conclusion, but the unfolding of something that demands your full attention, your full strength, and your continued willingness to choose yourself again as you move forward into what remains ahead, where the next challenge waits, the next decision approaches, and the next level of responsibility begins to demand more from you than ever before as you prepare to step into it without retreating, without hesitation, and without turning back as the work continues to rise before you and calls you onward into the next moment where everything you have been Oming is about to be tested as you take another step into the unknown and begin to act on what you now know must be done, even as the path continues to open before you and the journey moves forward into what comes next and what still awaits you just beyond this moment, as you continue to move forward into the responsibility that now stands before you, asking not for delay, not for doubt, but for act. Ion, as you step again into the work that is still unfolding and calling you onward into the next stage where you must now decide how you will respond. When the pressure increases and the demand grows and the next choice presents itself, and you must act again, choosing yourself, choosing responsibility, choosing growth, choosing to move forward, even now as the path continues and the work is not yet finished, and the calling has not yet fully revealed itself as you step into the next moment and continue onward, still moving, still choosing, still rising, as the journey remains open and the road ahead continues to demand more from you as you go forward into the next step and the next decision and the next responsibility that now waits for you to act and continue without pause as the journey car eyes on and calls you further into what has yet to unfold. And as you move forward, you begin to realize that growth is not loud, it is demanding. It asks for your attention when you are tired, your integrity when shortcuts appear, your patience when progress feels invisible. God does not rush transformation because rushed strength collapses under responsibility. The shaping takes time because you are being prepared to carry weight, not just to achieve outcomes. Every delay is not denial. Some delays are reinforcement, reinforcing character so that when opportunity arrives, you are not crushed by it. You will be tempted to look back at who you were and either romanticize it or resent it. Neither will serve you. The past is a classroom, not a residence. What matters now is the posture you choose today. Will you remain a spectator to your own life, or will you step into authorship? God does not write lives without cooperation. Destiny responds to participation. When you show up consistently, even without recognition, something begins to align internally. Confidence grows not from applause, but from self-trust, from knowing that when it was difficult, you still acted. There is a moment in every meaningful life where excuses lose their power, not because circumstances improve, but because responsibility deepens. You begin to understand that waiting for ideal conditions is a quiet form of surrender. Discipline is choosing action in imperfect conditions. It is deciding that discomfort will no longer dictate direction. God does not require perfection, but He does require seriousness. Seriousness about growth, seriousness about integrity, seriousness about becoming who you are meant to be. When resistance increases, it is often because you are approaching a boundary that once limited you. Boundaries exist to be understood, not feared. Fear exaggerates obstacles, but responsibility studies them. Instead of asking why it is hard, ask what it is teaching you. Instead of retreating, refine your approach. Every challenge contains a lesson that strengthens your capacity to lead yourself. God uses resistance to sharpen discernment and endurance. There will be days when the voice of doubt attempts to sound reasonable. It will remind you of failures, highlight risks, exaggerate consequences, but doubt thrives on inaction. The moment you move, it loses authority. Action exposes fear as smaller than it appeared. God does not remove uncertainty so you can act. He calls you to act so clarity can emerge. Forward motion is a declaration that you trust growth more than comfort. Choosing yourself means choosing honesty over illusion. It means admitting when discipline is lacking, when focus is scattered, when priorities are misaligned. Self-deception delay progress more than external opposition ever could. God honors truth because truth creates freedom. When you confront your weaknesses without condemnation, you create space for transformation. Growth begins where denial ends. You will outgrow versions of yourself that once felt sufficient. This can feel unsettling. Familiar habits will lose their appeal. Old comforts will feel restrictive. This is not loss. This is transition. God allows dissatisfaction to signal that expansion is necessary. What once sustained you cannot support the weight of who you are becoming. Do not cling to what no longer fits simply because it is familiar. Responsibility will require you to say no more often. No to distractions. No to unnecessary drama. No to habits that drain energy. No to voices that diminish. Discipline. Every no protects a yes. Every boundary preserves focus. God honors boundaries because they demonstrate stewardship. You cannot carry purpose while scattered in every direction. There will be moments when effort seems disproportionate to results. This is where patience proves its value. Seeds grow underground long before they appear above the surface. The unseen phase is not wasted. IT is essential. God works in depth before display. What you are building internally will eventually support external impact. Trust the process even when visibility is delayed. Leadership of self requires consistency. Motivation fluctuates, but commitment anchors. You will not always feel inspired, but you can always choose to act responsibly. Discipline outlasts emotion. God does not measure RT by feeling, but by faithfulness. Show up even when enthusiasm fades. Especially then. You are not competing with others, you are accountable to your own calling. Comparison distorts purpose. It either breeds arrogance or insecurity. Neither produces growth. God assigns unique paths, unique timing, unique responsibilities. Measure progress by alignment, not by speed. The goal is not to arrive quickly, but to arrive prepared. When mistakes happen, do not dramatize them. Learn and adjust. Growth is iterative. God allows failure to teach humility and resilience, not to define identity. What matters is response. Will you retreat into shame, or will you extract wisdom and move forward stronger? Responsibility chooses learning over self-punishment. There will be seasons when discipline feels lonely, when others misunderstand your boundaries or question your focus. This is the cost of intentional living. Approval is fleeting, integrity endures. God does not reward popularity, He rewards faithfulness. Stand firm in your convictions even when they are inconvenient. Your inner dialogue shapes your outer behavior. Speak to yourself with truth, not indulgence. Encourage effort, but confront complacency. Compassion without accountability weakens growth. Accountability without compassion hardens the heart. Balance both. God calls for strength anchored in wisdom. As pressure increases, refine your priorities. Not everything deserves your energy. Choose what aligns with purpose. Eliminate what distracts. Simplification creates clarity. God often removes excess so focus can sharpen. Complexity without direction leads to exhaustion. You may not feel ready for what lies ahead. Readiness is not a feeling, it is a decision to grow into responsibility. God does not wait for complete confidence before expanding your capacity. He waits for willingness. Willingness to learn. Willingness to adapt. Willingness to persist. Every disciplined day compounds. Progress is rarely dramatic, but it is cumulative. Small actions repeated consistently reshape character. God values daily obedience more than occasional intensity. Build habits that support your future. Habits become the infrastructure of destiny. There will be moments when the weight feels heavy, when responsibility stretches you beyond comfort. This is where endurance matures. Strength is not built in ease. God allows pressure to reveal capacity you did not know you possessed. Stay present. Breathe. Continue. Choosing yourself means choosing growth even when it costs comfort. It means accepting that transformation demands sacrifice. Sacrifice is not loss, it is exchange. You exchange distraction for clarity, excuses for progress, fear for courage. God honors sacrifice because it reflects seriousness of purpose. Your life is shaped by what you repeatedly do. Daily choices become destiny over time. You cannot drift into purpose, you must decide into it. God invites participation, not passivity. Step forward with intention. When uncertainty arises, anchor yourself in values. Values provide stability when outcomes are unclear. Integrity, discipline, patience, responsibility, these guide decisions when the path is foggy. God trusts those who remain grounded in values even when results are delayed. You will encounter moments when quitting feels justified. Fatigue will argue its case, disappointment will whisper reasons. But growth happens when you continue despite discomfort. God strengthens resolve when you refuse to abandon responsibility. Endurance refines leadership. Future you desire requires present action, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Each moment offers a choice. Delay compounds regret. Action compounds growth. God responds to movement aligned with integrity. As you continue forward, understand that mastery is not domination of others but governance of self. Control begins internally. Discipline creates freedom. Focus creates momentum. Responsibility creates authority. God entrusts influence to those who can manage themselves. There will be new challenges that demand new levels of maturity. Old strategies may no longer work. Adaptation is essential. God expects growth to be dynamic. Stagnation is not stability, it is decline disguised as comfort. When clarity seems distant, return to fundamentals. Sleep, structure, focus, discipline, honesty. These are anchors. God works through simple faithfulness. Complexity is not required for growth, consistency is. You are building something that may not be immediately visible. Trust that unseen work matters. God sees effort before outcomes. Continue refining character, continue strengthening discipline, continue aligning choices. As the path unfolds, responsibility will increase. Influence will expand, demands will grow. Preparation happens now. What you tolerate today shapes what you can handle tomorrow. Choose standards that elevate you. The call to choose yourself is not a call to isolation but to alignment. Alignment between belief and behavior. Alignment between values and action. Alignment between potential and FFO. God honors alignment because it produces integrity. You are not here to merely exist. You are here to steward time, energy, and opportunity. Stewardship requires awareness and discipline. God entrusts resources to those who manage them wisely. As you move deeper into this journey, the noise will attempt to return. Distractions will resurface. Comfort will tempt retreat. But your awareness sharpened. Your resolve has strengthened. You know what is required now. Each step forward clarifies the next. Do not demand the full map. Walk with intention. God reveals direction through movement. The weight you feel is not burden alone, it is significance. Responsibility feels heavy because it matters. God does not give weight to empty lives. Carry it with humility and strength. Continue. Choosing effort over excuse. Discipline over delay. Growth over comfort. Integrity over approval. God responds to such choices by expanding capacity. As the journey continues, understand that every decision is shaping you. Every action is training you. Every challenge is preparing you. The work is ongoing. The path is unfolding. The demand is increasing. And as you stand at this point, having responsibility again, having committed to growth again, having decided not to retreat again, you move forward into the next moment aware that what lies ahead will require even more focus, more discipline, more patience, more moral strength, and more willingness to act when it would be easier to hesitate, knowing that the journey does not pause for comfort, does not wait for certainty, and does not reward delay, but continues to call you onward, deeper, further, into the next stage of responsibility that is already approaching, asking you once again to choose how you will respond, how you will act, how you will carry what comes next as you step forward into the unfolding work that remains unfinished, demanding your attention, your effort, your discipline, and your continued willingness. Oh, rise and move forward even now, as the next challenge begins to take shape and the next decision draws closer, waiting for you to act. What remains now is not another explanation, not another delay, not another promise to someday begin, but a moment of decision that cannot be borrowed, postponed, or handed to anyone else. This is where responsibility stops being an idea and becomes an action, where intention turns into movement, where awareness demands obedience. You have heard enough to know what is required, felt enough to recognize what must change, and endured enough to understand that returning to who you were is no longer an option. God has already done what only God can do by giving you life, time, and the inner signal that refuses to let you remain unchanged, and now the rest belongs to you. The path forward will not ask if you are comfortable, it will ask if you are committed. It will not wait for confidence, it will respond to discipline. It will not reward excuses, it will answer responsibility. From this point on, every step you take either strengthens the person you are becoming or reinforces the life you have already outgrown, and the choice will present itself daily, quietly, without drama, asking whether you will rise with intention or retreat into habit, whether you will honor the weight of your calling or continue to negotiate with fear, whether you will choose yourself again, not in pride, not in defiance, but in alignment with purpose, understanding that the life ahead is shaped not by what you hope for, but by what you repeatedly choose. Starting now, in this moment, as you stand at the threshold of what demands your kora, your discipline, your patience, and your willingness to step forward and carry the responsibility that is no longer waiting, but already calling you to move.